Hi guys, welcome back to Behind the Beauty. Super excited to have Matthew Moy here.
Hey.
I think we haven't had a man on this show for a while.
Oh, I feel so special.
If you guys don't know who Matthew Moy is, probably the main thing would be Two Broke Girls.
Right, yeah.
Which I watched for like 3 seasons.
Yeah, and sadly we just ended our show about a month ago, but onward to the next show.
So I'm really excited to have you on here because it's going to be a different perspective.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about beauty and maybe a little bit of the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
And this is finally public knowledge, but we had known. What I'm really impressed with is that you are a stroke survivor.
Yeah. So I had a stroke 5 years ago. That was pretty wild.
During the show.
Yeah, it was during filming. It was during the second season. I think we had been back for a few weeks, for a few episodes, and then so usually the way our hiatus week goes, we work 3 weeks and get 1 week off. So we were just at the beginning of the second installment of that for Two Broke Girls. So, and then we were at work for a week, and then over the weekend, that was when I had my stroke, and then I still had to work 2 more weeks before our first hiatus, you know. So but my brain just hemorrhaged in the middle of the night. Nothing happened. I didn't like hit the deck, but I noticed something was funny in my body because I couldn't make a fist or like right. But you know, I thought I attributed that to just being tired in the morning, you know, because you know we've had that before. And then till it lasted for like 3 days, and I was like, oh, I better go to urgent care.
Oh my god!
And then I drove myself to urgent care, and the nurse was like, yep, your brain hemorrhaged in the middle of the night, and but there's no more bleeding, which is good. Wait for the doctor. The doctor never came. I waited for like 3 hours, so I just checked myself out and went home. And then called my main doctor, and I was like, hey, I had a stroke. He didn't call me back for 4 days till 4 days later, so I dropped that doctor, and then I got a new doctor, and then just worked my way through the next 2 weeks. And luckily, sadly, over the course of the next 2 weeks, I started gaining weakness in the right side of my body. I lost functionality of the right side of my body, all my motor skills. But luckily, in the last week before our first hiatus, I only had one line, and it was walking backwards. And I remember this. Walking backwards at that time was easier than walking forward. So I was like, nice, I'm done. I'm going to go peace out for a week and try to get better.
Okay, first of all, the fact that you handled the situation as calmly as you did, I would have been freaking out being like, I need a doctor.
Well, it's interesting. First of all, in the TV world, everything's just going so fast.
Yeah.
That you don't really have time to think. You got to think about the next day of work. I mean, you can't just be like, sorry, guy, curtains down, I'm going to peace out. You can't do that because there's like millions of dollars at stake. And I'm not that kind of type of person. I'm just more of like, let's deal with this now, you know?
Well, no, obviously, like the work part, but the fact that you went to urgent care and then called your doctor, do you know what I mean? Like, that nobody seemed...
Well, I think calling my doctor was like the passive-aggressive Chinese in me being like, hey, man, you should have prescribed me cholesterol pills like 4 months earlier.
Yeah, I know. I'd be like, so, you know that thing?
So, just to let you know, I had a stroke, and it's all your fault.
Remember those pills I asked you for? Yeah.
And then he called me back 4 days later. He was like, oh, well, maybe you should see a neurologist. And I was like, I'm already on it, man.
4 days.
4 days in, like, the TV world is, you know, like 4 weeks.
Yeah.
You know? But it's just interesting when something happens to you. Like, I don't know if this is true for everybody. A few of my close friends, it's true. When something tragic happens to you, you don't really think about it as much as the people who love you around you. So really the people who were freaking out were the people who worked with me and my parents, you know, and my sister, you know. They're the ones like, oh my God. But me, I'm like, well, I'm going to kick the bucket. I'll see you guys later, you know?
I'm going to do it on set. Like, no one's going to say I missed a day of work. That's insane. Do you think, though, because it took so long to actually go to a neurologist or to get a doctor that gave an F, that's why the feelings started to...
Wait, what do you mean?
Sorry, I'm
No. I'm trying to follow you.
Okay, so because it took, like, a while for anybody to see you.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think that that's why you were starting to lose the feeling? Because it didn't seem to like be right away. You said it was just weak.
Oh, no. I mean, even if I had seen someone right away, I think that was just a thing that was going to happen anyway.
Okay.
I mean, I'm pretty sure. One of the girls who works for one of our producers on the show. She hooked me up with her dad, who's a great doctor in Beverly Hills. And that happened pretty much like the next week when I came back to work. But still, I mean, he would have to do checkups on me, you know, at least once a week. And, you know, over time there's nothing you can do when you start losing your ability to walk and write and that's just a thing that had to do with my body, you know, being injured and trying to heal, you know, my brain and stuff, and the nerves being rewired.
And not taking the time to just...
Yeah, there were no, like, blockers for that I could take, or I don't know. All I could do was I had to go straight into physical therapy right away. I had to make sure the stroke didn't happen again. For a long time, we thought it was MS. And MS takes a while to deduce because they do so many tests to deduce that you don't have it. So, like, to prove that you don't have it. And after a while, we were like, let's go to a different neurologist because it's taking too long.
Yeah.
And luckily, it was just like a plain old stroke. But yeah, I mean, no, I don't blame my current doctor for like losing my ability on my right side.
Well, no,
I think that was just a thing that happened over time.
Yeah, because so the first experience I even had about strokes was my mom had one.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
But
how old was she?
She was 72.
Oh.
Yeah, and
it's a lot older, yeah.
So watching her just learning how to sit or chew is like a whole process, and I was just like, oh my God, so much of it we take for granted. But she had it coming out of anesthesia for a biopsy.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. She's a high risk to begin with. I didn't know this, but Chinese have
I didn't know that either.
Plus, she had high blood pressure, and she was being medicated for it.
Yeah.
So.
But I was out of surgery, though, huh?
Yeah. So I think it's a risk.
Yeah.
And she had it, and everything just felt. It was like 1 minute she was my mom, and then the next minute I was like, what? Like, we might not know if she's gonna wake up. And when she did wake up, she was kind of like a zombie. So I didn't realize that it could be like a progression of things that weakened you, but the fact that because was your experience, and whereas my mom was like, I was like, am I ever gonna see my mom again?
Yeah.
Am I gonna be able to say bye to her?
So did she stay in the hospital for a long time?
She was in the hospital. She was in the ICU, and then she was in like the one before ICU, which was I think critical care, and then ICU, and then slowly like she was in the hospital for 3 weeks.
That's so nerve-wracking. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we had to transfer her to assisted living or skilled nursing.
Yeah.
But we did aggressive physical therapy. We drained her physical therapy like allowance.
Yeah.
For the year.
Yeah.
And
that's tough too because you're only allotted so many physical therapy sessions for your insurance. So once you drain that,
it's out of pocket.
Yeah, it's out of pocket.
And it's incredibly expensive. Yeah. So unfortunately, we drained all of it, occupational, physical, speech. Yeah. But we had to because if we didn't, she might not have regained what she had regained before. And
that my physical therapist, they're telling me that first year is so crucial. Mm-hmm. After that first year window, everything gets a little harder to regain, you know? Not impossible, but it gets harder, you know?
You want to know what's really screwed up is physical, occupational, and speech are supposed to have 3 separate funds in the bill. So it's supposed to be physical, period, occupational, period, speech, period. Well, somebody put a comma instead of a period, so physical and speech have to share the funds.
Oh, so now it's drained like triple drained. Yeah.
So we ran out of speech because it was more important to get her to move and like be able to walk or at least use a walker. So we had to give up the speech therapy a little quicker so that the physical could have the money. And it was just one of those moments where I was like, wait, what? And my brother didn't understand what the speech therapist was saying because he was like, well, why can't we just go in there and put a period? I'm like, no, she's talking about a bill. Like, this is a bill. that they screwed up. And because it's screwed up and they pass it that way,
Wow.
it's a typo. We're talking a period or a comma, and they will not fix it.
Oh, man, yeah. Insurance companies are so hard to deal with. You know, my last one for after, they sent me the wrong participant ID number. It was missing 2 numbers at the end. So for the longest time, I was like, why are all my claims being rejected? And why do I have to keep submitting, being like, hey, I have insurance? It was because my number was incorrect, you know?
And it was a human typo error.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's just like, really? Really?
Yeah.
So that was really
'Cause
frustrating.
there are people, too, who work for insurance companies.
Yeah, and the fact that, like, they don't allow for a typo to, like, go in and change it or fix it, it's just bizarre.
Yeah.
Like, all of this. I'm really happy to see you sitting here.
Oh, I'm happy, too. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, because it's just, like, when Chris told me about what happened, I was like, what? And he told me at the time frame. I'm like, I was watching those episodes.
Yeah. So it was really wild. I mean, I was just like doing it. So when I'm on set, I'm trying, of course, all my acting choices, but I'm trying to think of getting to point A to point B, you know? But my boss, Michael Patrick King, he was like, Matt, you know, because he would help edit the episodes. So he was like, I'm watching those, you know, in the editing room, and I don't know, it is amazing what you're doing. It's literally like you're pulling yourself up like a puppet through the strength of willpower to do all this stuff. It was a really wild time.
Honestly, it was seamless. Like, I could not have guessed. And it's amazing what performers or what people who love their job will do to like, just get through it.
Yeah, you know, I don't think there was ever a time of me like, oh, I'm going to stop, just peace out and go home. I still wanted to get through it because it was really nice of them. Because at first I was like, I don't know if they're just going to keep me on the show, you know?
Or write you off.
Or, because first thing I told one of my producer friends, I was like, hey, I understand if I got to get written off because this is a weird thing that we're all dealing with. He was like, no, that's not happening. And that was a real blessing, you know?
That's amazing.
When someone does that for me, and then, you know, Michael Patrick King tells me, I think my first episode, when I think the entire cast and crew of 200 knew that I had a stroke, he was like, we got your back, don't worry. And I was like, not really. So, you know, I tried my best. I mean, and the great thing is I do get better in all the years. I mean, physically.
Yeah. Now
I'm doing pretty well. I still got a little bit of a limp, but, you know, I do pretty well now getting around. Yeah. And it's better than not walking, so.
No, you're able to live alone, and well, no, I don't know if you are, but I'm saying you're
with my cat.
You're totally functional, like in life, which I think is really important because my mom got really depressed for a while, and we're like, you gotta just keep going, like, you know. Towards the end, she was able to get back on her walker.
Oh, great!
Yeah, we had like probably 6 months with her where she was pretty happy and functional, but it took a year.
And it's important, I'm glad you were with her, because it's important for people to be with them when, in that beginning period I learned. Even if I didn't want people around me, it was still important for them to be around me. I didn't realize, like, Kat and her, boyfriend that time, Nick Zano, would text me, like, at least once a week, be like, how you feeling? How you doing? And I didn't realize till, like, a couple of years later that was so important for my self-esteem, just to talk to someone, be like, even if I was just saying, I feel the same, you know?
Yeah.
I was like, man. That really meant a lot that they inquired, you know?
Yeah, and, you know, I did my best being a little bit further from where they were, but my brother was there twice a day, every day.
Yeah. Yeah, my dad came, like, for the first 2 months to take care of me. That meant a lot, you know?
Yeah, you know, and my sister was there as much as she could be with her kid.
That's great, yeah.
I think the aggressive, like, want of her to get better from the three of us was really what got us that last 6 months.
Yeah.
But her body was just really weak from it. She was 73 at the end.
Yeah.
But I think you had your age, hopefully, to help you kind of like keep going.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I had the age, the money from the show, and just I had time to get better, you know, and I had that great support system. So. Which
is really cool because, you know, sometimes you go to work every day and you're like, yeah, I love these people, but it's my job, and and there's always drama when you work with people, like every single day, like, you know, the kind of a thing, but the fact that everybody's got your back in this moment.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't have to worry about any drama happening at work. That's going to be great, you know?
They're going to be there. They're going to understand.
Yeah.
So that's really awesome.
Yeah.
It's always interesting to see, like, who steps up to the plate during these.
Oh, I mean, yeah, it's very interesting because in my personal life, it was really interesting to see. And I don't want to blame anybody, but it's really interesting to see which friends understand and which don't. And I didn't understand why they couldn't understand for the longest time. And my mom finally was like, she's just like, Matt, you're still young. They're young. Things don't typically don't happen to young people like that. So it's not that they don't care about you. They just don't know how to process it in their mind. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense, you know?
Yeah, your mom's completely right. Very wise.
I really chilled out after that because I was so mad at. I was very angry for like the first year, you know, in some parts of my personal life because once something traumatic happens to you, it's like your filter comes off. There's like no time. Life is temporary. You got to do what you want to do. You don't have time for BS. Then my dad was like, Matt, you got to put your personal filter back on. But I learned a lot in that first year, and then my mom, taught me so many things.
Yeah.
Just about how not to burn my bridges, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where until it happens to you, you probably would never understand either. Like,
yeah, or it's like you may, but not to the full depths, you know?
I mean, losing my mom, I was like, wow, unless someone has lost a parent, like an actual parent, they don't get it. They can try, and I understand, and you're just like, okay, I understand you're trying to come from a supportive place, and you're saying what you think you're supposed to say. And I guess you're trying to empathize right now, and I have to forgive you for that because I'm mad right now.
Yeah.
You know, like you're just like you want to like scream at them, but they mean well. Like I'm just like, okay, you mean well. I'm gonna just smile and nod and say thank you.
Yeah.
But you just don't know.
Yeah.
You know, like, and same with this, like dealing with a parent who's sick.
Yeah.
You're like, you just don't know. Like,
Yeah.
I know you're trying to empathize, but you just don't. Like, dude, it's why now, like when someone tells me something bad has happened to them, I'm like, I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Because I don't think sorry is always the right word. I just don't know what to say. And, you know, talking to a friend who was dealing with something, and I said, I don't know what to say because I don't think I should say sorry because I don't think it's something to be sorry about because I don't think it's the end of the world. And she was just like, actually, that's the most honest thing, and thank you for that because I rather hear that than I'm sorry. You must be dealing with it so rough. Like, oh, so much bad things are happening, you know, because that she was getting a lot of that. And I was like, what do you need?
It's almost like words are too much sometimes.
Yeah. And it almost minimizes what they're going through.
We're all in like a morose little club here that nobody gets.
Yeah. So I was just, I'm still baffled because I remember watching and I was thinking like, oh my God, he's so amazing on this show.
Oh yeah.
And
thank you.
And I had no idea. Like,
yeah, I call it the biggest magic trick I've ever done. 6 years.
Wow.
Only 5 years with this post-stroke, though.
But you said you were having trouble walking.
Yeah, well, so I lost 90% of the functionality of my entire right side of my body. So, I was like literally like someone stuck a wooden block here, and like couldn't feel the nerves. For one of the first major things I learned to do was tie my shoes again, because that involves dexterity with your fingers and getting down to your foot, lifting your foot. Whole shebang. That was really difficult. Me and my physical therapist almost cried the first time I was able to tie my shoes again. But, you know, everything is step by step. You really learn to take every day at a time after that. Because for a year, I didn't know what would happen to me. Every day was a new, different day of different feelings, what I could feel, numbness, tingling, you know?
So because I don't remember, I don't remember, did you, when you were unable to walk essentially, how did you get from point A to point B on the show?
Oh, well, so I didn't lose it all completely.
Oh, okay.
So I still had like 10% of my body left, but I kind of, they would shoot me cowboy style from the waist up for a lot of it in the beginning.
Okay.
But, I would literally like swing my leg out and do what they call a figure 8 style with your legs. So you're kind of using it as like a crutch kind of.
But you kind of use that for your character because sometimes you'd be like, I
Oh,
don't know,
I
like your
kind of like walking
physicality.
like a penguin.
Yeah.
First season, that was probably just because I didn't know what I was doing. All the seasons after was because of my stroke. Yeah, that's interesting.
Oh, okay, because I always thought it was like a character choice.
No, I think, well, maybe eventually, but it just became part of my body, and I kind of slouch naturally, so I like a bad posture naturally. But yeah, no, it's because I'm trying to get all my muscles to get myself 10 feet across the room,
I think it's also a blessing that it was a half hour like comedy
Yeah.
for you because you can do a little bit more of the crazier.
Well, it's interesting. I guess I could make it funny, but no, because that show has a lot of physical comedy.
Yeah.
And Beth and my character, well, I guess we all did a lot of physical comedy jokes, but Beth and my character really did a lot of physical comedy jokes where she would get things sprayed or squirted on her. I would fall down a lot. Or I remember this one episode, I had to relearn how to ride a bike. And they asked me, can you do, and I was like, okay, and so I spent my days, at Target with my, old roommate going up and down the aisles trying to figure out how to ride a bike again. And then the day of shooting, my boss is like, all right, I hate to throw this on you, but for the gag, we need you to ride the bike with one hand and hold the horn in the other hand and honk it. And I'm just like, okay, let's do it.
Wow.
And I did it, and he was so proud of me. He was like, that was a milestone, Matt. And I was like, yes, it was. But so there's a lot of intense physical stuff that we had to do, which was interesting because I always wondered, I was like, maybe my boss is throwing all these intense physical things at me to try to help me to get me better,
That's what I'm thinking, like, as you tell me this, because I'm like, because if you were just told you have to relearn how to ride a bike, you're like, yeah, whatever, I don't really need to ride a bike. But for work, like, you pushed yourself to do that.
Yeah, because, there were days I'm like, man, Garrett Morris, who played Earl, he's a very nice man. I'm like, he's so lucky he just gets to sit behind that counter the whole day. And I'm like, that's what I want my next job to be, me sitting. But nope, never happened. And I'm kind of glad that'll never happen now,
Because you really were pushed to your limit.
Yeah.
And then they would be like, oh, by the way, we know we pushed you to your limit, but now you have to do it.
And it so went with the theme of our show. We always, pushed it 2 steps forward and took it 1 step back, so.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to hear that they were very supportive.
Yeah, everybody was. I mean, Kat Dennings bought me my first cane.
Aww.
That was really sweet. And she was like, Matt, I went really far away to get this. And I was like, I know. It said it was made in Italy. Did you just, go to Italy on the weekend? She's like, no, I went all the way to Melrose. I never leave my house. So this is, a thing. I'm like, thank you.
Aw.
Yeah.
I could totally hear her, saying that.
Yeah, she's like, I never leave my house. I went to Melrose for this.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
And now that you don't need it, do you, hang it up? Or do you still need it?
Oh, no, I don't need it. No, I don't hang it up. I mean,
you're like, Kat Dennings gave me this. She left Melrose.
I think it's somewhere underneath the cabinet or something warped from 8 because it's wood. But no. Well, I mean, there was a cool thing that my boss also said to me once. Because, we had debated whether to come out publicly with this information early on when it happened or later. And me and my team wanted to come out with it early on, but then, I was like, well, let me ask my boss his opinion. He recommended me no, because, there are a lot of reasons. I guess it was 2 sides of the coin. One was, it's such a distracting light from the success of the show at that time. Season 2, we were, the height of popularity, That's kind of a distracting thing. Then people would be watching the show for another reason, not just the show's popularity. I get that. You could look at it a different way, being such a cool, inspirational story or whatever you take it as. But the really cool thing he said to me was and Matt, do you want to be defined by this? This is how your people are going to define you as this person getting through this at this time. And that's how it's going to be for a long time. And I really thought about that, and I was like, no, it is part of me. It did happen to me, but I don't want to be defined solely by this.
Yeah.
So then I just thought, I'll just get through the rest of this show, and then I'll come out with it later. But, it's not 100% who I am.
No.
It's a very important thing. It was a game changer that happened to me, but it doesn't define me, And I think that's important for people when they have something tragic happen to them, that it doesn't define them either,
Yeah.
And so I think that was the part of the reason why I didn't come out publicly with it.
And then now that the show's over, I think it's important to talk about it as a separate.
Yeah, as a separate thing.
Yeah.
And just for me, the actor, I have to let people know going into auditions now that, hey, I can't, sprint and run around because this happened to me, just FYI.
Yeah.
Because, like, one of my good friends, he had a heart condition, and he wouldn't tell people. And then it was always kind of like a big issue when he would bring it up, first day of work. And he's like, by the way, I have a heart issue, so you can't, do anything crazy to me. And they're like,
what?
that's an important medical thing.
Yeah.
So I just, like, want to let people know,
Yeah, so that you don't show up on set and they're like,
it's like, hey, Matt, we need you to do somersaults. And I'm like, I can try.
Knowing you, though, you probably, like, somehow pull it off.
And I'm like, we can try. My leg might fly out, but we can try.
So while this is a beauty podcast.
Beauty.
So
this is real life.
do you wear a lot of makeup on set?
Yeah, we have tons. So, so sitcoms, it's very, it's its own animal. It's very theater, but also on camera.
Yeah.
For film. So it's like a weird hybrid of film, TV, and live theater. But our makeup was like theater makeup pretty much. Every actor had a different makeup artist working on them. Mine, she liked to, over the years, she realized she liked to airbrush me.
Okay.
Because that was better for my skin. I have this weird skin that's really dry in most places, but near my T-zone, it's like really oily.
Yeah.
But airbrush seemed to make my skin not react that much. It was because with regular makeup, it was super oily and greasy because it's that theater makeup, so it's very thick. And then the next day, my face would be like broken out as it is now for like a week, and then they were like, oh, we don't want to put this on you right again the next week, But then over the years, airbrushing didn't mix with my skin well. It wasn't blending right.
Oh.
So then what we found was we would put like a tinted moisturizer on me first, or if we could really, we would be so happy if we could find a tinted moisturizer that had salicylic acid in it.
Oh.
So because whenever I put on moisturizer on my face, I break out because it would make some parts of my face too oily,
I wonder if you're actually allergic to dimethicone, which is in 90% of makeup and moisturizers.
I wonder too. I don't even know what that is.
It's a silicone, and it prevents your skin from breathing.
Yeah, probably.
So
what we did was try to find like a tinted moisturizer that had salicylic acid. Then we would spray the regular airbrushing, and that would be pretty cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
Was it pretty thick, though, like the airbrushing? Did they do a lot of layers, or would that just be because it was flawless enough for camera?
They would just do, one good
one
even
pass.
coat. I mean, it was hard because, she'd have to look at me, and then she'd be like, oh, missed a spot here. But it was just like pretty much, yeah. The whole makeup process would only take maybe 10 to 20 minutes. But
well, yeah, because you're a guy, so
yeah.
It's really about just complexion.
And she spent more time, doing stuff like she wanted to fill in my eyebrows. I'm like, why do you got to fill in my eyebrows? I'm a guy. But she's like, no, it reads better on camera. I'm like, okay.
You need your eyebrows to express.
Yeah. So she's like, yeah, it'll look better,
Yeah, you got to fill them in.
Yeah.
So it was like airbrush for complexion and then fill in your brows.
Fill in my brows. And then, well, I mean, sometime, I think my hair person, as I'm getting older, I'm losing hair. And they would little TV trick here. They would fill it in. They would use either that powder, which I don't know what you call, that fills in like patchy spots, or they would use like or like a brush to.
Yeah, like a mascara wand, but it's not. It's actually for your hair.
Yeah, because that powder gets everywhere, especially if you already have makeup on. They didn't want that powder getting everywhere, so they would just do little spot stuff. Crazy
thing is, this old TV trick of filling in, like, because I have really high hairline, so they would do it too, like if my hair was pulled back.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just because it's not pretty. It looks weird. So nowadays on YouTube, people have discovered this, and they do it like daily.
Oh yeah, I mean, especially being in LA.
Yeah.
I don't even like, some people think, oh God, you wear makeup. I'm like, oh, what makeup do you use? What do you wear? Oh really? You did that? Wait, what's your trick?
Yeah. There's all these tricks, and Chris and I met in the entertainment industry, obviously, but like when I forget why, but I found makeup in his luggage. Like, we're not talking like a full kit. Like, we're talking like a tinted stick of like concealer or something. And I thought it was kind of funny that, he's pretty like macho. He has makeup.
It's a thing, I get it.
Guys wear makeup. And what's great about YouTube is I am really happy that there are guys wearing full makeup, full glam, because it shows men that they don't have to go full glam, obviously, but that it's kind of this androgynous thing that it can be worn as much as you want, as little as you want, men, women, whatever.
Well, I love that they're using it for YouTube because that is an on-camera thing. Mm-hmm. Excuse me.
It's okay.
It's an on-camera thing, and it just shows the professionalism of everybody. Hey, you're going to be on camera. You want to look your Sunday best, Mm-hmm. We're going to be on camera. Oh, we should, maybe put a little makeup so we all look,
Meanwhile, you and I right now, this is on camera. We're like...
Wait, I just want to let everyone know I'm so broken out right now because, I know my skin to a T now, and I know what did this. I love to eat sweets at night. I eat like handfuls of like chocolate chips, or like I got these like coconut like toasted cashews from Trader Joe's. So I've been like
that's like the worst for your skin.
What? Sugar.
Well, no, sugar plus nuts plus like
nuts.
Chocolate. The nuts will break you out.
Yeah, so I don't want to say I've been stressed out this week, but when I get into, because I had this audition this week, so when I get into like work mode, I'm like, I'm gonna eat all this junk. And then after the audition is over, I'm like, oh, now I can eat whatever I want. So I got, this really greasy Chinese food. So my face is loving this right now.
Luckily the camera's like pulled back enough.
But
I don't think they'll see it.
And then when I don't shave for some reason, that like, I don't know if it like traps the grease.
No, shaving exfoliates your skin.
Oh. So when I don't shave,
you're not exfoliating.
Oh, that makes sense.
Exfoliate. No, but yeah, shaving exfoliates your skin. So typically men, one of two things, they either break out from shaving or they don't. So if you don't want to shave, just
exfoliate. I'm one of those guys who, if I don't shave, I break out.
Probably because
and it's not like I have that much facial hair, but my skin can tell,
Yeah. I think because you're oilier, the shaving helps like purge the stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we talked about airbrushing. Do you have your own airbrush kit, or you just don't care?
I let the makeup lady use whatever she wants. She and I, Jen, would always try to find the right tinted moisturizer though. But there is just there isn't that much stuff. I mean, there is more stuff nowadays for guys, but it just because last time I went to Ulta, is that a makeup store?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so last time I went there, they didn't have a lot of because I would only go like once every 3 years because I used the stuff so sparingly. I would go to get my tinted moisturizer, like, oh, we don't carry that anymore because, it just wasn't doing that well. Nobody would buy it. I think it was like Calvin Klein had their own brand or something.
Okay, I'm going to introduce you to Jouer because Christina, the founder and owner, she has a Salicylic Primer. So it has no dimethicone. There's no silicones in it, which will be better for your skin. It has salicylic acid in it. You put it on, it's clear, but then they can put whatever they want over it. And hopefully it's like a barrier, just like your tinted moisturizer.
Yeah, and so the one I was using on set was this other one that started with an M. I can't remember the name.
Murad?
Murad, yeah, it was Murad, but my makeup lady even called me, and she's like, why did you guys stop selling this? They're just like, nobody's buying it. So, like, I hope one day makeup companies can make stuff for guys like this
Yeah.
that people will buy because,
You mean
especially in LA.
Did Myriad fully stop making it?
Yeah, they just don't sell it
Really?
anymore. The kind with the salicylic acid, because it's so specific for like the guy
Yeah.
who wants to put makeup on who doesn't want to break out, So it's hard, or I guess they call it BB cream too. It's just hard to find that stuff. So we'd always exchange ideas of what we could buy before we put the airbrush. But the airbrush was, I think, what she had. But I had my own like moisturizing routine.
Yeah, I've got to. So Jouer is not sold in stores typically. You just order it. But yeah, it's definitely something you should get.
Jouer.
It's actually my shirt right now.
Perfect.
I clearly like them. So Chris wants me to ask you.
Oh yeah.
How did you start? Sorry, he was like.
We've gotten so way off track.
I know. But no, seriously, the anti-blemish primer, because it's clear, you can put.
That sounds like exactly what I need.
It's perfect for you. And I think it's pretty affordable.
Yeah.
I don't have an extra one, but I would totally. No. That's the one I think you
understand.
should get. Typically, I have extras, and I would just give it to you.
But you're using them.
I'm using it, and I only have one.
Because they're great.
They're amazing. Ask him to talk about how he started acting and how he got the show and how that changed your life.
Oh, so Chris knows a little of this story too.
Which is probably why he wants me to ask you. He's like, this is going to be great on the podcast.
So I started, we'll take it back. I acted a little in high school, but that was more of a fun thing to do with my friends. So once that ended, when I went to college, acting wasn't a thing I was going to pursue in college.
Mm-hmm.
When I went to college at UC Davis, I majored in Japanese and minored in linguistics. But then about my third year of college, I kind of fell out of love with Japanese, or it just wasn't something.
Are you Japanese?
No, I'm Chinese.
Okay.
But it wasn't something I wanted to do as a career, be an English teacher in Japan or be a Japanese teacher in America. That wasn't a thing that I wanted in my life right then. So around my third, fourth year of college, I'm like, Mom, what am I going to do when I graduate? I hate, I don't like thinking that I've wasted all this money, all their money, really. And my mom was really cool. She was like, my mom's a speech and language therapist. So she's like, well, you always loved acting. You never really got into it. You love cartoons, because who doesn't? And she was a speech and language therapist. She's like, well, why don't you try voice acting? Because that's what I tried. I had to take a couple classes, learn how to manipulate the voice. So I was like, okay, whatever. Because I didn't want to be one of those people like, hey, I'm going to take a year off and just figure out my life for a year. I just feel like that's a waste of time because you miss a year of your life.
Yeah, you end up partying and wasting away and sleeping it away.
Yeah, and it's like, where's all the time gone? So I try to be productive at least. So I went to voiceover school, wound up loving it, stayed in it for 2 years, and my mom would be always great. She always helped me reevaluate my life at the end of her. We'd be like, Matt, do you still love this? Do you want a career in this? Are you doing all the things you want to do? I think those are important things to check up on. And I'd be like, yes, I love it. I am progressing, done this, talked to so-and-so. And that wound up working out really well until I finally got an LA agent. I actually wanted to move to LA a year before I actually did, but then one of my friends was like, save all your money first.
Yeah.
So I worked my butt off, worked at a pet hospital, worked for a spinal surgeon, and saved a good chunk of change, then moved to LA. And then so I was able to sit on a nice chunk of change while I tried auditioning for voiceover. But voiceover is such a niche community that it takes, even in acting,
it's hard to get into.
It takes a couple years for just everybody to get to know you, that you're a consistent good actor. So around 8 months, I was running out of money, and I'm like, God, I need to pay my rent, so I needed to diversify myself. So before I ran out of money, I invested my money into acting classes and started and tried to find a manager. I found a manager who would represent me, and I was going to casting director workshops, acting classes, groundlings. There were 2 different acting classes I was going. I was just trying to do acting just to try to figure it out. And then that's how I eventually met Chris, my very first agent.
He was your first agent?
Yeah, he was my first agent who took me on, and I was such a newbie, kid who didn't know anything, because they only Chris's agency only represented me commercially.
Yeah.
But sometimes they would send me theatrical work. I'd be like, no. I want a different theatrical agent. Don't send me theatrical audition. They didn't get mad at me about it. But eventually,
Well, that's his trick, though. Like, he reps you commercially, and then he sees what you can do, and, like, slowly.
Well, that's not a trick. That's a great thing. That's a great agent, you know?
No, he was very, very, very good.
Because some agents will only, they're like, no, we're not going to represent you theatrical. Or, no, we're not going to represent, we only hired you for this, you know? That's a great thing in an agent. But I think I just had I knew exactly what agency I wanted to be with and where I wanted to be. I really wanted to be with this agency called AKA, and luckily it worked out.
Wow.
And I just kept doing more showcases and stuff. They found me, and I'm like, great, this is the agency I want to be at. They represented me across the board. And, I just kept working hard, so I started booking things right away with them, and things just took off. Went through a couple pilot seasons together, did pretty well, and then finally I booked 2 Broke Girls.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's a very happy LA story.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I try to tell my actor friends who are still trying to make a living, I'm like, look, all it is be nice, be courteous, work hard. All the results are in the work. You do good work, it's going to produce good results. But
and be a good person.
Be a good person, too. I find a lot of LA people get stuck in this kind of Hotel California thing.
Yeah.
This life where they're like, I feel like successful people are here, but a lot of people in LA get to like here, like 80%, almost at the top. And they're very comfortable here. And so they just kind of coast for like a year, then 3 years, then it's like 10 years later. And then...
And it's too late.
And then you have like drug problems.
Yeah.
And
that's so crazy. And by the way, guys, if you don't know what, like we keep mentioning Chris, if you've missed a couple episodes, Chris is my husband.
Yes.
He was an agent, so that people don't get confused. He was an agent. That's how I met him. But yeah, that's a happy story with Chris too. Like, I don't know. I feel like sometimes we like think about his past and we're like, do people hate you? Do people like, we're like, what do people think about you?
No.
Cause he's a lot nicer than I am. And he's a lot more like even tempered.
He was so chill when I talked to him,
yeah.
You know, before he became my agent and then after, you know?
Yeah. And I think it's all about how you are too, like as a person. Like, do you bring the worst out of people? Do you bring like this, you know, in terms of when you're an actor, like, or when you're in any industry, like it's our job to make people feel comfortable and kind of just like be us, but also be open and accommodating.
Yeah, especially an actor. I mean, it's show business. So you got to be able to do good work, but it's also a business. You got to be accommodating as business. But I think just as a human being, all of us, as long as we're respectful, we're honest, there's no BS. I mean, that's a great thing that everybody should have, just so we can all live great lives, you know?
Yeah.
But some people get lost in secrets or problems or drama or narcissism. I mean, that's a big thing with all the young kids now, you know?
Yeah, and it's so funny because, you know, I left the whole entertainment quote unquote, because I technically still, you know.
You shifted.
I shifted
gears,
more to the online stuff. And it's funny because with the success of online, it's the same game. Like, I was like, wow, I left one version to go to another version. And I'm like, you guys just be like, it's a business. We're all trying to make a living.
Yeah.
If you get so lucky to make a living doing it, like, chill the F out. Like, you know, and respect each other's time and what everyone's trying to do. And I hate the BS. I hate that.
And there's so much. And I mean, and that's people, I don't know why. They have these egos here in LA that have to do with their own problems of them not being where they're at or them not being happy with who they are, you know? It's them not doing what they truly love, maybe. Or some people, I always get worried about new actors who it's their dream to be actors ever since they were little kids.
That worries me too.
And I'm just like, man, you were just setting yourself up to be crushed if it doesn't work out. You know, and also, why limit yourself to one thing?
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to be an actor when I was 14. At 15, I got my agent, and I was working. So it wasn't like, this dream that was, do you know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
actually started pursuing it then. I didn't wait until this thing and build it up. Like, because I think that's really detrimental to anybody. Like, whether it be acting, whether it be like anything in life.
It's a lot of pressure. You're putting yourself on a pedestal.
Because what if it doesn't work out?
The self that you're chasing, you know?
What if it doesn't work out? What if you don't like it?
And then there are all these people who like post all these selfies of them doing important things on Instagram and online, but they're not doing them. So they're just putting more pressure on themselves
and
to their friends and family that they're being this superstar when.
Yeah, because it is really hard because it's a profession that people don't really get unless they're in it. And when you go home for Thanksgiving or something and they're like, oh, so-and-so's back from LA visiting for Thanksgiving. How's it going out there? Oh, it's great. So what have you been on? And they don't get that, like, it's not just like, oh, I moved to LA. I'm on a show. Like, they're like, what would I have seen you in? Like, oh, you know, and then so it almost makes you feel like you have to build it up.
Isn't that the most awkward thing whenever people first meet you as an actor? They want to know your resume.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I mean, this isn't a job interview, but okay.
Yeah, because I'll be like, oh, you know, I mainly do commercials overseas. Oh, so what would I have seen? Nothing. Do you live in China or Taiwan or Hong Kong? Like, the funny thing is, after I quit acting, someone who watches my YouTube videos tweeted me a photo of me at LensCrafters in Beijing. And so I was like, oh, the stuff I was doing really was being published. But she was all like, hey, look what I found. And I was like, oh my God, this is the first time I've seen any of the commercial things I've ever done.
Yeah.
Because I would book like crazy for overseas stuff because I look like.
And then you don't see it.
Yeah. But here they'd be like, oh, what have you done? I'm like, oh, I did a LensCrafter. Where would I have seen it? I don't see you in LensCrafters. I'm like,
and then they start judging you. It's like,
I'm like, I'm not lying. I really am working.
Yeah.
There's no, like, why would I lie about, well, actually people do lie about that stuff, but I'm like, no, I'm not lying. I really didn't do it. You're not going to see anything I've ever done. And a lot of the things I did as a kid, like, it was analog back then. Like, it was on a tape.
It's like, guys, we're not going to be able to get that unless someone chips it.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know, like, it's VHS.
Yeah.
My mom had all of it, like, in VHS. Yeah. I don't even have a DVD player anymore.
Oh, well, I still do. So you can watch it at my house.
Well, we're going to have to find something that hooks it up from VHS to.
Oh, to not DVD, to just your cell phone?
I don't know. I have a couple things on DVD, but it's just so funny how, like, technology has changed our lives.
The tides are changing, yeah.
Yeah.
And everything is online now. Even with, network stuff. It's all being shifted online, I think,
Yeah. I personally like it because less clutter.
Yeah, and everybody's on their phones. Yeah. And, I mean, it's maybe a good thing that we're all, hustling so much and trying to get all these things done. We've advanced so much, everybody just doesn't have as much time just to sit and have a nice sit down and watch TV. I mean, is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know.
I kind of think it's a catch-22 because I do need a vacation. Yeah. Like, I need 2 days with no internet. Yeah. But then I panic. Like, I was in Ojai this weekend.
Yeah, you can't do that for more than 4 days without panicking. That's what I realized.
I panic on, like, hour 2. My entire life is dependent on the internet. And, like, I was like, my internet's not working. The Dropbox isn't downloading the photos.
And isn't it cool, though? But if you go with, like, a bunch of people from L.A., and even if you have the mindset of we're going to be disconnected, there's always that one point where everybody just has that unspoken thing where they're just like, okay, now we're going to take out our cell phones for, like, 2 minutes. Okay, we're all good. Yeah. We're all good.
We just need to check that nothing exploded.
Yeah. And you all get it.
Yeah. I think it's a catch-22. I love technology, and I also think we sometimes need to unplug. Yeah. But I don't know how.
Well,
I'm too, like, neurotically attached to what I do.
Well, soon enough, there would just be so many people in your life that make you anxious. You won't want to be connected.
Oh no, I don't accept phone calls. My phone doesn't. My phone doesn't actually work as a phone. Everybody in my life, in my personal life, know not to call me. Yeah. Text me first or FaceTime me, but I freak out if my phone rings.
Oh, that's a weird thing too.
I'm a weirdo.
No, that's like a new generation thing. People who don't accept phone calls. It's funny. I went to Coachella with these young girls a couple of years ago, and I was taught. One of them was like 22, and she was like, "No, I don't do phone calls. That's weird. That's like too intimate." And I'm like, "You mean to call you where you're at?" Like, okay.
No, this is me. Where are you? I'm standing next to the fire hydrant on blah, 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 blah. And my friend will just try and call me to tell me. But for a while, all my calls were being forwarded to Chris.
And she's like, "No, phones are just for emergencies." And I'm like, "Oh my goodness, this is the world that we live in now."
The sad thing is we're the same age, but I feel that way.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, maybe it's more of a guy thing just to be like, we'll just make it easier and call you. And
yeah, I have friends who hate that I will not pick up the phone, so they know to FaceTime me. I'll pick up a FaceTime.
A FaceTime instead of a phone call. Why is that?
I don't know if
That's
I
a
can.
phone call with a face.
But I am like if I can see your
The person
face,
could be peeing on the other end. You don't know.
If they're FaceTiming, I can kind of tell that they're peeing.
That makes me anxious. I had this one ex-girlfriend who called me, who FaceTimed me, but I was in the middle of going to the bathroom.
Well,
and it's like,
wait,
don't FaceTime me at that moment. Why are you why can't you just call me?
Well, just tell me that you're going to the bathroom and I'll like
No,
FaceTime
but
you
it's
later.
one of those random calls, It's not a call that you're expecting.
Oh, no, I won't do that to someone. I'll text you, "Hey, can we FaceTime?"
Oh.
Or it'll be like a conversation, my friend and I we're trying to figure something out on my website, and then he'll just this is getting too much, and he just FaceTimes me. But clearly we've been working.
So you need to triple prepare. Hey, can I text you that I'm texting you right now? Oh, no, this isn't working out. Can I FaceTime you? But I'm letting you know that I'm FaceTiming
Yes,
you.
that is the process.
That's
my
the process
friend.
now.
I think FaceTime. I think for me, phone calls, I don't pay as much attention to you when we're talking on the phone because I get distracted.
That's a terrible thing.
I'm being completely honest.
I love it.
I can't focus on our conversation.
We have so many things going on in our lives.
Yeah,
you know?
I'll probably be reading an email if you're on the phone with me.
Yeah.
So it's better if we
which means you have a great phone plan that you can access your data and speak at the same time.
Oh no, I have the worst phone plan. I'm on my laptop.
Oh.
Or I'm on
old
the computer.
school. I'm
Yeah.
like, man, that's really advanced to be on the phone and look.
I used to when I had AT&T, but I can't anymore, which
I get
sucks.
it. I get you, girl. I get it.
Life sucks. So no, but if I FaceTime, I'm focused on you, and I feel like we're having a conversation.
What? Because it's all compartmentalized in a
No,
little
because I
frame.
see you.
But if you're, instead of if you're just on the phone with
Yeah,
somebody.
if I'm just on the phone, I'm gonna
Yeah.
clean the house. I
Oh,
feel like
my mom does that. She likes to eat when she's talking to me. And I'm like, don't eat when you're talking to me. Just go finish eating and then talk to me.
It's that thing. My mom she would be on the phone with me, but after she had what she had to say and I wanted to still talk to her, she'd start watching TV. Do you know what I mean? And it would be like this, and I knew she was doing this, but watching her TV and just letting me talk. So I think the FaceTime secures the fact, okay, we're gonna speak to each other.
There's no room to get caught.
Yeah.
Of getting distracted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you are staring at me right now.
I get it. Yeah.
So I have no problem having an intimate conversation.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure we're really having it.
Yeah.
And then text is just info, whatever.
Yeah. It's always weird when someone wants to text you dramatic stuff, or they want to be dramatic with you through a text, and it's I don't know what's going on.
I can't get this context because there's no inflection in your voice.
Yeah.
So we talked about a lot.
Yeah.
I mean,
woo!
Where can people find you?
On Instagram or Twitter, The Moy Wonder. The Moy Wonder. At The Moy Wonder. TheMoywonder.
Okay.
Like The Boy Wonder, but The Moy Wonder. Both the same on Twitter
Cool.
and Instagram. That's it. You can't find me on Facebook because it makes me too anxious.
I don't use Facebook. I have a Facebook page, but that's it. Where I update people.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So Instagram, Twitter, and yeah. So cool. Thanks for being on the podcast.
It was my pleasure.
Yeah. Bye, guys.